Hi, and welcome to my channel, Dream Awakening. My name is James, and I help people awaken from the dream. Today, I would like to give an account of my first waking experience. It happened, I believe it was back in 1984. I'm giving away my age now. It was quite a while back. There were some situations that I was going through, a little bit of anxiety, and so I was asking the universe to help me to see things clearly. And I can't remember exactly what I said, but there were some things that led up to the event that definitely facilitated it to happen. There was a seminar that I went to where I went and saw a guru. I forget his name at the time, but I was the last one to arrive, and there was one seat left in the auditorium back in the back corner, and as soon as I got in there, the doors closed and the seminar began. And he started talking, and I don't remember everything he said, but I do remember there was a point in before he was done where he was kind of waving his hands, and he was telling everybody that he was fluffing their aura and stimulating their kundalini. I didn't know anything about that at the time. But he said, everybody in the room should have some effect. It should have some effect on everybody in the room. Some people it will affect more than others, depending on your state of being and your level of awareness at the time. But he said it really doesn't matter how close you are. Everybody in the room should be able to feel something from what he was doing. And he said that you may see, things a little differently. Things may seem to sparkle. You may see a shine, around things, or a glow. I didn't think anything of it, and I went home. And it was about 2 weeks later when I had this experience. I think it might have had something to do with it, though. He was talking about stimulating my kundalini and helping it to rise up my spine. So anyways, at the time, I remember asking to be awakened. I remember asking, and I didn't really specify, who I was addressing, like, God, please help me. Maybe I did. At the time, I think I did have still the awareness, of a higher being, and I might have addressed him, it as God. But either way, it didn't seem to be personalized. I just asked to be awakened. I asked the energy and the others and just whatever is, whatever is controlling me, to show me the light, to wake me up, open my eyes. I kind of remember asking something similar to that, please wake me up, show me the truth. I want to know what's real. Okay, I don't remember if I asked 3 times. I probably did. I was very, like I say, I was going through some anxiety at the time, and I had to have some answers. I was to a point in my life where I knew something was more than what I was experiencing. I knew I was missing out on a lot of things, and it just felt like I wanted to see more. I wanted to see the light. I wanted to see the truth. And so I guess I asked to see the light. I had to open my eyes. I want to see the light. I kind of remember asking that. And so when it came about, it took a couple of hours, but I was wandering around my place, and it seemed like something was getting closer and closer to me, merging with me. I couldn't tell from like what direction, but it felt like something was just getting closer to me, or I was getting closer to something. There was emergence that was happening, and it's kind of like, when you get close to somebody, and they get in your space, you can tell they're there. Well, it was kind of like that. It was just like, what is this that's getting next to me? What is that's coming upon me? Anyways, when it finally happened, it was kind of like a flash. All of a sudden, I was engulfed in this warmth, and then in this light, and through my eyes, I'll just try to describe the sensations. It really doesn't do it any justice, but I'll try to describe. My eyes, what I saw, I saw this glow that was like halfway between whatever I looked at. It was kind of like, the best way I could describe it is kind of like being inside of a clear light bulb, where I could see through the light bulb, but I could see there was this edge of light. There was this glow that I was looking through. Okay, I believe it was my own internal light that I was seeing through. Okay, and the visuals that I saw, I had a table, in front of me. It was like 2 inches thick. It was a solid wood table, and I put my hand underneath it, and I could see my hand right through the table. The table was not obscuring my view. I could see through the table. It kind of blew my mind. It was like, wow, what is this? How can I see this? And so that was my visuals. I could see very, very clearly, except for there was this glow. There was this white glow that I was looking through. And then, as far as my hearing, my audio got very, very acute, and I could hear what it seemed to me like I could hear for about a quarter of a mile around, about a radius of a quarter of a mile around me, from my house. And I could sense and very clearly hear conversations that I just knew were blocks away from where I was. I could hear everybody talking for at least what seemed like I thought was maybe a quarter of a mile. Maybe it was a mile, I don't know, but I could hear, and it wasn't like these voices in my head. I could hear conversations taking place, and I knew that they were taking place in real time outside of my house, in other people's houses. I was that aware, I guess, and I could hear clearly all these different conversations taking place. Okay, so that was my hearing experience. My mental state, I had a clear awareness that, and as crazy as it sounds, I at that moment, there was a knowledge, an internal knowledge that I was everything. I knew everything because I was everything, and I knew it. There was an experience of, I am one with everything. If it's a thing, I was it. And never ever since or before had I ever had that full awareness. Well, except for the next time I woke up a few years ago, I had very similar awareness of oneness with everything. And at that time, I just knew I was everything. And as crazy as it sounds, I knew everything because I was everything. And I had no questions. I had no doubts. I was fully aware for that moment. And I couldn't tell if it was for a couple seconds, a flash, or if it lasted a couple minutes, or if maybe even a duration of a couple of hours. I couldn't tell because I was out of time. I had no sense of time at all. Time did not exist. So I couldn't tell how long I was experiencing this. But it was total and complete, and I knew everything for that duration of the event. And I wrote some things down, and it totally changed my life, because what it felt like and what was my experience was I was already awake, but then I felt like I woke up. I had a higher awareness, like when you wake up from sleeping, and it's just like, oh wow, I have an awareness that I'm here and now, right? Well, I was already awake, and then I had that waking experience. Wow, I am really here and now, much more so than I was when I thought I was awake, before this happened. And so, ever since, my life has never been the same. It changed my life totally. I had another experience that was kind of, I could say it was kind of similar in a way, but it wasn't anything like that. A few years prior, I was sleeping. Yeah, I was sleeping. I don't know I was sleeping, but I had a sense that I woke up, and I had a feeling, or I knew. I looked at my clock and I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm late for work," and so I had this anxiety. Oh, I better get up and rush. I'm late for work, and right at that moment, I woke up from this dream of waking up late for work. I woke up, and it was like, oh wow, I'm late for work. I looked at the clock. I was like, I'm late for work. I had a dream that I was late for work, and then I woke up. Oh wow, I'm late for work. And so I started getting ready, and then I woke up again. I was like, oh wow. And then for what I could imagine, it was the persistent waking dream that I was really awake this time. In the state that we all think that we're awake in. And so I actually woke up twice, or maybe three times, because I woke up, thought I was late for work, and I woke up again, thought I was late for work, and I woke up again, except for and that last time I wasn't actually late for work. That was the weird thing about it. I wasn't. In fact, it might have even been my day off. So, but in any case, I wasn't late for work. But I had woke up twice in a dream, from a dream, thinking I was late for work. And so that kind of internally confirmed to me that you can wake up from a dream and still be in a dream, and then wake up from that dream. Okay, and this was long before this experience that I had. I can't even remember if it was before or after now that I'm thinking about it. It was so many years ago. But anyway, back to my initial experience. After I had that experience, I started doing a lot of research on the self and the mind and the ego and cells. Just doing research. What am I? Who am I? What is this thing that is consciousness? And I started doing, I'd go into the library every day and just reading. I couldn't gather enough information. I started learning about truth. And what I was finding is, what is all this information I got? What is the truth of it? What is the truth? And so I started digging into the truth. It was really kind of strange. I took a great big dictionary to break it down, the origin of truth, and where's it come from? I said, that's when my origins came about. Get back to the earliest understanding of what is this word, what does it mean? Well, it took a big dictionary, and it basically broke down what truth was. It was based. It's what as dig as deep as I could dig. That I found that the truth was based on what was termed the word of God. I was like, wow, okay, that sounds realistic, as far as what truth could be, is what real is, whether you want to call it God or the universe, but that's what the dictionary had broke down as a definition, is that truth is based on the Word of God. So I started doing research on the Word of God. What's the earliest writings of the Word of God, and I grew up Catholic, and so it was the King James Bible is all I really knew. I had no concept that there was really anything prior to that until I started looking into the earliest writings of the Word of God. Then I found the different religions, but then the earliest that I could find was the Hindu religion, and their writings were the Bhagavad Gita, and that predated the King James Bible by 1,600 years. I found that very fascinating. I was like, wow, there's writings of the Word of God 1,600 years before even the King James Bible, which is the whole Catholic religion's based on. It's like, well, I want to read it, and so I checked out the Bhagavad Gita, a big hardback version, and I started to read it, and I found that there was too much distractions, and I had to get away, and so I'd made a pilgrimage. I guess I'd been there before to the park Yosemite. My family had taken me there, at a young age, and I felt like that was just a really cool place. They call it God's country, by the way. And so I made a pilgrimage there, and I took 2 weeks, out of my schedule. I just what, I'm gonna go to Yosemite and read this book, so I can get away from all the distractions, all the frequencies, that are in the air, and anything that would bother me. I just want to go and read this book, by myself, and absorb it. And so I did, and I read the book cover to cover, and it was amazing, the information that I found in there. It's, kind of like a manual for living, which I guess the King James version is in a lot of ways. There's a lot of deciphering that has to be done with the King James version because it's been translated so many times. Books have been omitted, things have been added, and translations have been, installed in it. But I guess, from what I understand from it too, is, if you ask for the understanding before you start reading it, you'll get it. And so, but I had a hard time with that. It's just like every time I pick it up, I had to ask to have right understanding, and it just seemed like more of a history book than anything. And so it wasn't getting me anywhere. I haven't read the King James cover to cover. I have read probably 5/6 of it, 7/8 of it, quite a bit of it, but only to find that it's muddied, and I couldn't I couldn't get enough truth from it. And so anyway, back to the Gita. In reading it, I was finding that it was giving me energy. Just in the reading, now at that point, that's when I became a vegetarian. Somehow, I just didn't have the inclination. I didn't want to eat meat. I didn't have a desire for it. And then reading, the Bhagavad Gita, I was finding that, they hold the cow very sacred, and and how they promote a plant-based diet, and how that will can and will raise your vibration, so that you can be in closer touch with your higher self, right? And so I at that point I stopped eating red meat. I still ate chicken and fish for many years, up until really just probably about 3 years ago now. I'm completely plant-based, and I have a lot more energy. I feel vitalized, revitalized in a lot of ways, and I'm sure that has had a dramatic effect on my spiritual awareness, not eating meat. Okay, it's a choice. Everybody can eat whatever they want. I grew up eating meat. We had hamburgers as a child. I had hamburgers, and every now and then. I mean, I grew up poor. We didn't have steaks and stuff like that. I was kind of well, I don't know about poor. We had all our needs met, but we didn't have any kind of extravagant life, and I didn't have a whole lot of toys. I had some Hot Wheels. I had asked for a mini bike. I didn't get it because we couldn't afford it. Anyhow, back to the awareness. It it opened up my eyes to see that there was something more, to this awareness. Reading that Bhagavad Gita. So I highly recommend that as some reading that should be at least checked out. My awareness, when I had that awareness, I when I had my experience, my awakening experience, at that time, I had an awareness of knowing that at some point in time, everybody would wake up. At some point in time, we would all be awake. I don't know how I knew that. Well, I knew that because I knew that. I knew everything. I knew at that time that everybody wasn't awake. And then there was a few people awake, or maybe hundreds, maybe thousands, I don't know, but a small percentage of the people walking around were awake. I just knew that because I was awake at the time too, and so I knew that. I also knew that most people were asleep. Most people were still walking around in a dream. But I also knew that at some point in time in the future, that everybody would wake up. There would be a point in time when everybody would wake up at the same time. I just had that awareness. And so trust that at some point everybody will wake up. You listening to this right now might be ready to wake up just because you're aware that you might be sleeping. Okay? And if you think you're sleeping, or you think that, you've heard enough information to think that, wow, I might be asleep, and I've heard people talk about waking up. Well, you're sleeping for sure. But you may be at a point where you're ready to wake up just because you're stirring yourself to the will to wake up. Okay? You have to want to wake up when you're sleeping. There's a conscious effort that goes into it, especially into this persistent dream that's happening right now that just seems to go on, and then you dream that you go to sleep and then you wake up again. You're still in a dream. And then what happened when I woke up from the dream, I knew that I was still attached to the dream, only I was awake in it, kind of like a lucid dream, right? I didn't really escape the matrix. I'm not quite sure that you can, totally. Oh, how cool is that? I got a little bird outside my window. I'm going to put a picture of him. How cute. He come to say hi. Hi, little birdie. Okay. Anyways. Oh, no, that was sweet. I got to put a picture. I'll attach a picture to this video. Here he comes again. Hi, little birdie. Now, that's amazing. Let me see. Let me hook up my camera and see if I can catch a real-time shot of this bird coming to my window. He's probably going to come again. Here, come back over here, little birdie. Come on. I can call him. Watch. Come on, little birdie. Whoops. Dropped my phone. And I scared him away. Okay. Another time. But I do have a picture of him. He came around yesterday. He's so cute. Anyways, I think because of my higher vibration that I'm attaining, this wildlife just seems to be coming around. I had a deer the other day right outside my window. I'll put another picture of him too. I had some wild turkeys pass by, and they sit there. They look right at me. It's crazy. I got little hummingbirds, coming up to the window, and they look right at me. I got squirrels. It's just amazing. I'll tell you a short little story. I was working up at this mountain, and there was a little white butterfly that passed by me. It might have been a moth. I think it was a little butterfly. Passed by me and it landed on a tree about 15 feet away, maybe 15 yards away. And so I walked over just a little bit, as far as I could get, and I could see him land on a tree. And I just spoke to him. I said, "Hey, little butterfly, come on over here." And damn it, if that little thing didn't fly over and land right on my chest, right on my solar plexus, looking at me square in the face. I was like, hi there. And it actually let me touch him. I was petting his wings. Is that not wild? And that was it was like a spiritual experience. Like, wow, how can this be? A little butterfly. And it came when I called him, landed right on my chest and looking right at me and let me touch its wings. I petted it 2 or 3 times. I said, hi, how you doing? And then it flew away. And oh, it was amazing. Anyways, I just wanted to um, express my experience and try and give some kind of clear account as to what happened to me the first time I woke up. And the second time I woke up, it was more. I think that first time it was kind of by accident. I had no idea what was going to happen. But the second time that I woke up a couple of years ago, I really, I I intended to do it, and so I deprived myself, like I'm going through right now, as I'm making a conscious awareness attempt to do it again. And so what I did is I deprived myself of my fleshly desires. Um, I, uh, I was a marijuana smoker at the time, and I stopped smoking. I was smoking for years and years, all day long. A chronic smoker, and I stopped. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna clear my head, and I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna see if I can wake up again. So I stopped smoking. It took about, I don't know, maybe 20 days, 16, 17, 18, 19 days, something like that. And I stopped. And then one day, I felt like it was right. This is the day. And somehow I was like, okay, I've went as far as I wanted to go with depriving myself. And so I lit up a joint, right? And it really wasn't that strong, but I took a couple hits, and it was amazing. It was like things started to shimmer and shine, and all of a sudden, this new awareness came in, and I could tell it was my higher self stepping in, and I was looking around, going, "Wow, what is this place?" Like I was brand new to it. I lived there for 4 or 5 years, but I felt like I was a stranger, and I was looking around, and I was kind of addressing my lower self and saying, "Wow, look at you! You got it going on. You got a place going on. You got some plants growing over here. This is a cool little place you got here. This is comfortable." But it was my higher self that had stepped in, and it stayed there all day. And I was asking my lower self, I guess, my higher self, maybe it was my lower self asking my higher self, so how long can I stay here? And that the answer came to me, and it was like, well, as long as you want to, you can stay here as long as you want. And I was like, okay, well, let's see how long I can stay. And so, I went about my day, and I went up and visited some friends, and I was supposed to play my guitar. I couldn't play my guitar because I was too, I don't know, I was too aware or something. It just didn't happen. And my lower self was, I guess, trying to creep back in, and so I was just trying to fit in with what was going on, and so I smoked some more weed, right? And I got my head kind of clouded up, and then I really made a bad mistake. I asked my friend for a cigarette. Oh my. I had a couple of puffs off a cigarette, and I started seeing stars, and I asked myself, I need to go lay down, and I blacked out. And I guess from what they tell me, I was out for a good 5 to 10 minutes, out cold. They didn't know if I was dead or what, but they brought me inside, and then all of a sudden I snapped back to it, and it was my natural lower self, I guess, waking up again. And I told him, okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back, and I'm okay. And it took me probably a half an hour to really gain my senses again, but and to come all the way back in. But I knew at that time my higher self was not there anymore. It was my lower self that had stepped back in. It's like my puppet strings were cut, And my higher self said, no, I will not exist in this body with you, with this lower vibration, contaminant, smoke that you're breathing in. And so I'm leaving. And I guess it left straight up, and left me with my lower awareness that came back. And I just felt drained when I woke up. But in any case, that was my second awakening. And so now I believe I have the keys to be able to wake up again. It's conscious effort, and you got to deprive the beast, which is your body. And talk about the beast. That is you. You're the beast. The body, the ego, right? That thinks it's material. That's not who you really are. That's just your avatar, and that's your programming. Okay. When you deprive it, when you starve it, it kind of goes to sleep, and your higher self can step in at that point. Okay. You ask for it, you will it, but you got to make a concerted effort to deny the ego, deny the beast, starve the beast of the things that it wants, right? Meat. The beast likes to eat meat, okay? And it will keep you here. And when the beast is in charge, your higher self cannot step in. It just can't do it. There's no room. The lower vibration and the higher vibration are the gap is too wide to bridge. And so in order to reach that higher self, you have to raise your vibration, if that's what you want to do, by dropping eating the flesh, dropping eating low vibration, dropping low vibration substances from entering into your body. Alcohol, that will really lower your vibration. Okay, if you abstain from alcohol, if you abstain from cigarettes, you abstain from eating any meat at all, your vibration over a short amount of time, and it only takes about, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks perhaps, to clean your system out, and you'll notice that your excrement, and your urine will clean up, and you will be much more aware. Something else happens to your perception. The days become longer because of your awareness being increased. It's like for me now, I've been abstaining now for a couple of weeks, and it seems like the days are lasting like 3 or 4 times as long. There's so much more time in the day because of my higher awareness. I can do so much more. And so that's what you'll find, is that your state of mind will change just by dropping these lower vibrations. And what happens is your higher self will start to fill in the gap. It'll start coming closer because you've made room for it. Okay? And then when you decide, it's all in your choice. You can wake up whenever you want. Okay? So I have put forth this 40-day challenge for people to wake up just as a starting point. There's something about 40 days and 40 nights of starving that beast. If you can starve it for 40 days and 40 nights, you've tamed it. You have put it in its cage, and it will listen to you at that point. You might have to push it back a couple of times. It's going to rear its ugly head and say, feed me, give me some meat, give me some alcohol, and you have to make a concerted effort and just tell it no. Just say no. Say, no, look, I'm in charge, and I'm not feeding you. You're not getting it. That's just it. Okay? I'm in charge here. And the I that you're saying is in charge is not your ego, it's your higher self. Because it wants to come in, it wants to wake up, it wants to be in charge of your life. Your higher self wants to be in charge of your life. Your ego is your matrix programming. Okay? Now, just like in the movie The Matrix, if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. Just like Neo, understood that he's the one, right? We're all the one. But, and we can wake up. When we wake up, and unplug from this thing, you can see, yeah, you can be unplugged, but you're still in it, right? there's really, I'm not sure there is an escape from the Matrix per se, because we're a program, right? The avatar is a program, and the ego is a program, and so they stay. They can't leave because they're a simulation and they're not real. The only thing that is real, I guess, is just your awareness, just your pure awareness. Okay? Now your pure awareness can leave, but then where did it go? Where does it go? It doesn't really, there's really nowhere to go. Because we're everywhere. Okay? You can exit the Matrix, but you're still in it. You're only just not controlled by it. Okay? You're not programmed by it anymore. And that's freedom. That's what you're looking for. That's really what you want. Then when you say unplug, from the Matrix and exit the Matrix, it's dropping the programming, stopping the automatic program that's running, and just be yourself. Be fully aware, like the gurus, right? Like the ascended masters. They just know, and they're content, and they're happy. That's really what you want, is just to be happy. You don't want the pain and the suffering of the material world, that the ego brings. And so that's what we're trying to strive for here, is just becoming fully aware, fully awake, and free from the programming. Okay, now that's all I have for today. I just wanted to make an account of my experience. I guess I gave an account of a couple of experiences just to give you something to look forward to, and maybe something to anticipate, and to clear up any illusions or disillusions as to what's actually going to happen when you wake up. Okay, if you're listening to this, you're probably very close to waking up, because you're listening to things about waking up. And you'll find too, the more you look into things about waking up, dream awakening, just start looking into it. YouTube is so full of information that people have shared their personal accounts of waking up. The more you look into it, the more you'll find that this is a real deal. You can wake up. But when you wake up, you'll find also that in knowing that you're one with everything, you may very well want to come back here to help other people wake up. And that's been my experience. And so with that, I will conclude this. I bid you a very good day. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for hitting that bell notification. That'll tell you when I upload the next one. I will try to stay in as close contact as I can with, I know there's at least one follower that had disclosed in my comments that said, I'm with you, I want to wake up with you. So if there's more, comment below and say, yeah, I'm in too. I want to wake up with you. I want to see what it's like. If not, that's quite all right. When you do wake up, if we do wake up at the same time, I would like to have some correspondence with you so that we can share notes and compare awarenesses, and so that we can, just have a camaraderie that, knowing that we're not alone in this, okay? That this is a shared experience. So again, thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and peace. Have a very nice day. Namaste.